All right, some breaking news from Iran. U.S. Central Command just announced that American forces have shot down 4 Iranian attack drones that were headed toward the Strait of Hormuz. That was followed by a U.S. strike on Iranian radar sites along the coast. The strikes come after hope for peace was again put on hold today, this time because the terror group Hezbollah rejected a deal reached by Israel and Lebanon. That, in turn, led Iran to say the talks are off with the United States, for now. But as the different sides bicker over their competing demands, tonight there's a new voice we haven't heard before, a voice coming from behind bars inside Iran's most notorious prison. The message for the U.S. and the world: don't forget about us. NewsNation has obtained a recorded message from Iranian American journalist Reza Valizadeh. He's been locked up in Iran's Evin prison for nearly 2 years. In the recording, he makes a plea for himself and for 3 other Americans in the prison, arguing they should be part of the negotiations.
While 3 American citizens and I are imprisoned in Iran, 20 Iranian sailors were released by the United States on May 21st and returned to Iran. The U.S. government could have demanded our exchange in return. However, it did not happen.
Valizadeh referenced the release of 22 Iranian sailors last month. That happened as a goodwill gesture after their ship tried to break through the U.S. Navy's blockade and they were taken into custody. He questions why no Americans were then sent home in return. He goes on to say he and the other Americans are being denied medical care as their health spirals.
Our diseases is a big demand. It would have at least asked the Iranian authorities to reduce not all the physical pressure and mental torture against us in captivity, but at least some of it.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio testified this week that any deal with Iran would come in 2 phases. First, a ceasefire, and then the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. The fate of imprisoned Americans does not appear to be part of the talks right now. That would be followed by nuclear talks. The lawyer for Reza Valizadeh says that for the imprisoned Americans, this is excruciating news. Joining me now is that lawyer, Ryan Fayhee. Ryan, great to have you with us. First of all, do you know when this recording of Reza was made?
I do. I received it recently after the internet blackout was lifted in Iran. It appears to have been recorded by Reza on or about May 20th or 21st.
So right after the Iranian soldiers were seized and then released.
That's correct. That's correct.
And in the recording from Reza, he mentions there are 3 Americans who are in the prison. Do you know who he's talking about?
I actually don't. I've been in close touch ever since Reza's arrest with stakeholders here in Washington, D.C., between the White House, the State Department, and on Capitol Hill. Most numbers are that, roughly 6 Americans are being tracked. Those contained within Evin prison and those that are on exit bans or otherwise on house arrest. But I don't know the identity of the other 3 prisoners that Reza is referencing.
What do you know about Reza's condition, about what conditions are like inside this prison? And if you can, our audience probably doesn't know very much about Evin prison, but it is notorious and notoriously bad.
Yeah, that's correct. Evin prison has been, it's a political prison. This is not the first time that the Iranians have held American hostages, all the way back to the revolution in 1979. But a number of American citizens have been held in Evin. And what's rare this time around, in history, is Reza's being held in the midst of all-out war, including in the neighborhood around Evin prison. He's already suffered an Israeli strike on the prison in June of last year. He was removed and then brought back to the prison. And now war is happening all around him. And truthfully, we don't know exactly what conditions are like inside the prison. We know that a number of protesters have been added to the prison population. but we have no idea of the conditions, the scarcity of food, the number of guards. We don't have a good handle on Reza's health or the health of the prisoners around him.
He was talking in that message about the fact that they are physically and mentally tortured. What do you think that means?
Well, we know that Reza has developed some respiratory problems resulting from that June strike on the prison itself. And then separately, we know that he has some serious and growing dental problems, having not seen a dentist now for nearly 2 years, alongside some persistent back pain. We know the prison is deeply overcrowded, but again, we don't know, but we have to imagine that Reza isn't getting the nutrition he needs. He can't see a doctor. He can't leave the walls of that prison. And what's really surprising to me, you know, as Reza has referenced the humanitarian gesture that the U.S. returned a number of sailors, that the number is actually quite higher. It's nearly 60 sailors as of today's date. Reza hasn't even been able to leave the prison to get medical care. He could, just as easy as the Iranians have done in the past, be released to his parents who live in Tehran or to his family, get the medical attention he needs. Even if they wish to put him on an exit ban, at the very least, we can get him healthy and safe as we await for these broader negotiations to take place.
Yeah, we should mention the State Department has ruled Reza's arrest and detention that he's unlawfully detained. They think there is nothing to this except for probably political reasons. But the mere fact that the United States has shown goodwill by releasing the Iranian sailors that it apprehended, and the Iranians won't even let him out of Evin to see a doctor for pretty serious medical issues, is extraordinary.
Yeah, look, it's really incomprehensible to me. Reza is a U.S. citizen, just like you and I, no different. He's a journalist, and he's being held in Iran, in Evin prison, for nothing more than being a journalist. He worked for Radio Free Europe. He exercised his freedoms as an American citizen in reporting on what was happening in Iran. He did it in the Persian language, which of course became an irritant to the Iranians. And now as I've said once again, release 60 sailors or nearly 60 sailors back, the least that the Iranians can do, the least they can do on their side is let Reza get out, be with his family, get the medical attention he deserves as they try to sort out these broader issues. The truth is they should release him and let him come back to America or back to where he lived in Europe and live out his days. That's what should ultimately happen, but at the very least, he needs to get his medical attention.
Yeah. Ryan Fayhee, I hope there's good news soon to come on this. Really appreciate you joining us to try and raise awareness to Reza's plight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.